Southampton, but do you see them going all the way to at least finish in the top 4 this season?
Yeah, I do see them going all the way. I just think they're going through a blip in this season. The top 4 with Everton is very, 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 very hard to say because we've never seen them in this kind of position before. We're used to seeing Everton in either the lower league, the lower part of the league table, or just kind of like in the mid table of the league. So for me personally, I just think that they do have what it takes to finish top 6, but top 4 will be hard to say. So let's give them some credit here. Years ago, Everton was one of those teams that you would look at and say, they could get relegated anytime soon. They've spent a lot of time in the top flight without getting relegated. And they do have what it takes to at least finish top 6. I wouldn't say top 4, but they have what it takes. But at the moment, they're enjoying the ride. They've won a lot of games this season. The likes of Dakore, Rodriguez. We all know Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been very, very impressive this season. He's been banging in the goals, left, right, and center. Richarlison as well is doing his bit. And Carlo Ancelotti is a very, very good coach. Top 4, hard to say, but I think they can manage to finish top 6 and at least qualify for the Europa League.
All right, so before I let you go now, when you mentioned Ancelotti, I remember the quality of coaches that we have in England. For Manchester City, there's a Pep Guardiola. For Liverpool, there's a Jurgen Klopp. For Chelsea, of course, there's Frank Lampard. And for Tottenham Hotspur, Jose Mourinho. And for Arsenal, we have Mikel Arteta. Do you think that Mikel Arteta, Frank Lampard, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are nothing compared to the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and Jose Mourinho, and of course Ancelotti?
Well, if you're asking me that in terms of experience, obviously the old guard, the Guardiolas, the Klopps, the Ancelottis, they have more experience than the younger ones that are coming up. But again, you have to understand that the likes of Pep Guardiola, for example, had to start from somewhere. He wasn't made overnight. He started from somewhere. He was an understudy even before he became a coach in Barcelona. He's done quite well for himself. So trying to compare the younger generation with the older generation, I think it would take a number of years for us to be able to do that. Right now, I personally believe that the old guard, the Ancelottis, the Klopps, the Guardiolas have more experience than these people that you're talking about. But as they begin to progress over time, they as well will start to create a sense of history for themselves. They'll start to achieve results. Mikel Arteta has been able to show that he's a good tactician. The only problem I have with him is he doesn't come across as a good man manager, in my opinion. He's a good tactician, but when you start having problems with certain players, we know his early days, but he had a problem with Guendouzi. He has a problem with Ozil. And I hope that number doesn't start to creep up. When you start having those kind of problems, then your credibility as a man manager, not as a tactician, is called to play. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in my opinion, is a good coach as well. It's going to take a while for him to catch up. Given time, these coaches can become very, very good and create a sense of history for the clubs that they represent.
All right. Thank you very much, Jide, for speaking with us today. And it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Same here. It's a pleasure. Continue to stay safe.
All right. Thank you very much. And enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games. Well, let's take a break and see a bit of a preview from the games that are going down this weekend in the English Premier League. Well, looking forward to the games that we're going down this weekend in the English Premier League. Now, let's go straight to the fixtures of games in the Italia Serie A. We'll see Crotone taking on Atalanta, and Inter Milan will be up against Parma Calcio, and Bologna will be up against Cagliari, while by 12:30 on the 1st of November, Udinese takes on AC Milan, and Spezia will be taking on Juventus. And for Juventus, Cristiano Ronaldo has recovered from the deadly coronavirus. He tested negative, and I'm sure he will get a feature against Spezia. We're looking forward to the game between Juventus and Barcelona, talking about the return leg of the Champions League, and I hope that he gets to play that one. Well, Torino takes on Lazio, Roma will be up against Fiorentina, Napoli will be up against Sassuolo, and Sampdoria will battle it out with Genoa. And in the Spanish La Liga, Eibar took on Cadiz yesterday. Of course, Eibar ran away victors in that one. Real Madrid will be up against Huesca by 2 p.m. later today, and by 4:15 p.m. Athletic Bilbao will take on Sevilla, and by 6:30 p.m. Osasuna will take on Atletico Madrid. Let's see if Suarez will continue his scoring spree for Atletico. And Deportivo Alaves will take on Barcelona by 9 p.m. And then by 2 p.m. on the 1st of November, Real Betis will battle it out with Elche. And by 4 p.m., Celta Vigo will be up against Real Sociedad. 6:30 p.m. we'll see Granada taking on Levante, and Valencia will be at home to Getafe by 9 p.m. And on Monday Night Football, we'll see Samuel Chukwueze, who plays for Villarreal, as he will battle it out with Real Valladolid, and that game will go down by 9 p.m. Well, that's what we'll draw a wrap on today's show, Plus Sports Special on Plus TV Africa. I hope you enjoyed the package from the highlights from the Champions League, and of course to Diego Maradona, to talking about the German Bundesliga that just might be playing behind closed doors because of the second wave of coronavirus. And we also spoke about the Super Eagles selection, talking about Gernot Rohr's 24-man selection, and we had Omar Katugba joining us to speak about that one from Germany, all the way from Germany. And we had Judy Ladipo speaking about the English Premier League and some of the selected games that were going down this weekend. I'm Udoka and Njogo saying, please have a fantastic weekend, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day.
As Nigeria celebrates a Diamond Jubilee, the sports industry has been on a topsy-turvy ride, and the drawing board is still as active as ever. Sports has been a veritable national activity, unifying Nigerians of diverse culture since our amalgamation in 1914. Since Emmanuel Arinze Ifeajuna won a gold medal in high jump during the Commonwealth Games in 1954, to Hogan Kid Bassi, who became the world featherweight boxing champion in 1957, to Dick Tiger, who won the middleweight crown and the world light heavyweight crown. Other athletes have gone on to do the nation proud on the African and global sports scene. At the height of our agitations for independence in the years leading up to 1960, several socio-political pressures that ensued in the Nigerian political community stealthily stunted the growth and the advancement of sporting activities in the country. After independence, Nigeria's Green Eagles, as it was then popularly called, qualified for the Olympic Games held in Mexico in 1968, and this greatly upped Nigeria's ratings in the world of football. The Golden Eaglets won the Kodak Under-17 World Cup, now FIFA Under-17 World Cup, in China in 1985. These outstanding exploits connected with Chioma Ajunwa's golden heroics in the long jump event and the Under-23 Dream Team's football victory in Atlanta 96, which served as a reminder to the rest of the world the great potentials of the country in sports.
No matter how quality and how brilliance individually you have in your team, the collective effort will always be ahead of the individual brilliance. But of course, we were able to, tell ourselves that let's work as a team, let's help one another, let's defend as a team. That confidence, and that statement gave us the belief, gave us the confidence that we are here as a team. If we lose as a team. If we win as a team. And that really inspires us, going all the way. When we play Brazil, I remember our first game against them. We knew we lost that game, but it was our proper mistakes that cost us the goal. And then when we have the privilege to play them again in the semi-final, we went into that game, having the confidence that if we do what is needful, the possibility of we playing in the final is there.
Many sporting greats have served the nation meritoriously by offering their talents and zeal to the service of the country. It is sad that the expected government efforts on immortalizing these men and women are hardly considered.
It's very, very painful that our great sportsmen cut across all strata of sporting activities have been neglected by Nigerian government. And it is not a good development, and it's disheartening, especially for the upcoming stars. And that is the more reason why you find most Nigerian citizens flying and vying for wearing other countries' color in international events. And I'm personally very, very disappointed in our government, because this is an area where government can annex and improve on our poor IGR, internally generated revenue, and show up our revenue cut across. Rashidi Yekini, who happened to be my client, is still, and we're still crying for Kwara State government to immortalize late Rashidi Yekini. I'm not even talking of Nigeria. Even Kwara State, that where Rashidi Yekini came from, have failed to even immortalize late Rashidi Yekini, not to talk of Nigerian government. So it's disheartening, and it's a very sad development.
The consistent fall in the standard and sports facilities, coupled with the erosion of the sporting enthusiasm that once greeted our sporting arena, has made Nigeria lose its mark on the world stage. In recent times, the country has witnessed the mixed fortunes in sports and various accompanying challenges. Aside the victory of the Super Eagles at the African Nations Cup in 2013, the Super Falcons' achievements and some other stand-alone victories of our junior football teams and other sporting contingents, much has not really been achieved, and a lot is left to be desired in terms of sports development, facility upgrade, inventive offering to athletes, and proper talent development and management in the sporting arena.
We are now lagging behind and letting other countries like South Africa, Ivory Coast take the lead. Is it a lost cause? No, I don't think it's a lost cause. But I believe with more government intervention, in the sense of funding the athletes, not really paying so much attention to the federation, but funding the athletes directly, I think we can get our sports back to where it should be.
According to the pundits, the future of sports in Nigeria is bright and eventful if the stakeholders take the right step and make the necessary efforts. Policymakers are advised to reenact sports education as a mandatory subject and extracurricular activity in primary and secondary schools, upgrade and revamp facilities for various sports around the country, and create a national developmental framework for sports. Udoka Njoko, reporting for Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
first point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
You cannot continue to recycle poverty while you're spending a lot of money on unproductive ventures.
The government has to feel the impact.
Honorable Commissioner, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Friday confirmed 170 new COVID-19 cases with 3 coronavirus-related deaths recorded in 10 states and the Federal Capital Territory in the last 24 hours. Lagos State reported 106 cases of the new virus, followed by the FCT with 25 cases. Oyo had 14 cases, Edo and Kaduna reported 7 cases each, while Ogun had 4 cases. Other states are Bauchi with 2 cases, same with Benue State, Kano, Osun and Rivers all with 1 case each. The Public Health Agency said that the new confirmed cases brings the nation's total number of COVID-19 infections to 62,691. It added that more than 620,758 samples have been tested by the agency, out of which 62,691 were positive in the country. 181 patients were successfully treated and have now been discharged from isolation centers across the country. Welcome back, and now moving on to Edo State, where the Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal on Friday commenced sitting in Benin. The tribunal will be reviewing petitions filed by political parties challenging the declaration of Governor Godwin Obaseki as the winner of the September 19th governorship poll in the state. The political parties seeking to nullify Obaseki's victory include the Action Democratic Party, ADP, the Action People's Party, APP, Action Alliance, AA, Allied People's Movement, APM, and the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The chairman of the 3-man panel, Justice Abdulrazak Abdul Karim, asked for the cooperation of all parties, assuring them that the tribunal will perform its duties without prejudice. And the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the October 10th governorship election in Ondo State, Eyitayo Jegede, has filed a petition at the tribunal challenging the victory of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. Other defendants in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the All Progressive Congress, and the Deputy Governor-elect, Lucky Ayedatiwa. Among the grounds on which the election is being challenged include that it was marred by irregularities and pockets of violence and intimidation. He asked the tribunal to declare him the winner of the election. And still in the news, the Shelter Initiative for the African Woman says that it has lost over 150 million naira to hoodlums who attacked its premises in Abuja searching for food palliatives. The privately owned initiative, which caters for women and youths in Nigeria, giving food aid to the poor and vulnerable and revolving loans to women entrepreneurs, says the hoodlums carted everything in sight within the premises, including doors, window protectors, overhead tanks, plumbing materials, and others. The site manager of the estate, Joseph Chukwu, urged the police to investigate those behind the attacks and tasked the state government to speedily come to their aid.
They came in the afternoon and we were able to have repelled them. But in the night, it simply couldn't. We couldn't just hold them off anymore. They came with everything that they could and raided the estate. The two houses that housed those food items were boggled and everything there looted. They vandalized the house, took away things that are not food items, took away every plumbing materials, every electrical materials in those houses, went to our main office and carted away goods that actually cannot be quantified as equal to now. We're asking the police to do a thorough investigation, but we actually need the government to come in and do.
The judicial panel of, I'll take that again, the Lagos judicial panel set up by the state government to investigate the Lekki shooting on Friday paid a visit to the military hospital at Ikoyi to inspect the morgue. The panel, led by Doris Okuobi, a retired judge, disclosed the unscheduled visit to the morgue at the military hospital after Friday's sit-in. The inspection is to help the panel with evidence that could assist their investigation. Ebun Adegborua, a senior advocate of Nigeria who was a member of the panel, said the visit was born out of intelligence reports the panel received. The panel, which met with resistance from the military officials, declared that they had the backing of the state governor, and the president, Muhammadu Buhari, also gave them the authority to conduct the investigation. The military hospital is controlled by the 65 Battalion, a unit of the Nigerian Army, alleged to have sent soldiers to the Lekki toll gate on the 20th of October. After several minutes of waiting at the gate of the military hospital, the military allowed the panel members accompanied by journalists into the premises. And we're now joined by political analyst Biodun Showumi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Good morning.
I'm going to start with asking, for your clarifications on some things a lot of people have been talking about, and that is the capacity of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry to truly investigate the cases of police brutality across the country and, of course, the incidents at the Lekki toll gate.
Yeah, I have no doubt that the government has done the right thing, setting up a quasi-independent panel, judicial panel. People like Olu Adeguru and so many of them are people noted for their fairness, and then they've represented the views of the people at different points in time. So I am not in any doubt that this panel is made up of competent, capable, and independent-minded people. However, about the ability to discharge their function, that's a different thing completely. We have seen an example where the military authorities tried to inhibit them, to deny them access to the morgue, of the military hospital. Eventually, they were able to go through, but we should expect some of these bottlenecks, on the way, because the investigation will reveal some uncomfortable truths for some people. Do not forget the Chief of Army Staff initially denied that the Nigerian Army was involved. And then you are now moving gradually to, yes, the Nigerian Army was involved. They were called in by the Lagos State government, but they did not shoot at protesters. So gradually you have gotten to the military hospital. We are now beginning to see whether in reality there are dead bodies there, which many people believed they were actually there.
All right, Mr. Showmi, I want you to also speak on your expectations generally. If you expect anything concrete to come out of this inquiry, and also add to that as quickly as possible. If you are familiar with the laws setting up the state panels of inquiry, and what they are given the legal backing to investigate, which might be traditional and state affairs, do you think that they have the capacity, once again, to investigate issues of police brutality? Looking, of course, at the laws, that create the police that are not state but federal instead.
Oh, yes. When you look at the law that created the panel, it's quite clear that they give them the latitude to unhurt those factors responsible, for the shooting of protesters, those who actually killed, how many people were killed. Where we will run into a sticking problem is those who actually shot. Every single panel in the past have always been unearthing this problem. You remember when we had the Kalakuta, burning of Kalakuta Republic? They did set up a panel. They came out with unknown soldiers. Eventually, the Ransom Kuti family were compensated. I am looking at a situation where for once, this panel will be able to identify, the particular soldiers responsible for shooting and who gave the orders for shooting so that they can be, punished. The reason why this happened is because the military authorities have always been covering their own with the slogan of unknown soldiers. The compensation is always not the problem. The federal government is always willing, to pay compensation. So that is the sticking point. Whether this panel will actually identify the soldiers involved, who deploy them, and who give them the orders. I think that is the expectation. It's not about compensation for the victims. And then the rules of engagement have always been very clear when it comes to military involvement in civil police. They do not have that responsibility.
All right.
The Nigerian police have the responsibility for policing. So we probably need to recruit more police officers, train them, and then stop using military men, for civilian policing. So, but that should be part of the recommendation, because when you look at the entire Nigerian police force, we only have 400,000, about 400,000 to police 200 million people. It's grossly inadequate. So these are some of the things we will expect the judicial panel to look into with the view to recommend, the ratio of a police officer to how many citizens, so that we can address this problem. Because of police shortages, that is why they keep calling the military in. So we need to fix this problem, return the military to the barracks to protect the territorial integrity of the country and allow the police, even with their imperfections, to continue to police the country.
All right. Beyond the show, lastly, I also want you to speak on from what you've seen yesterday, the arrival at the hospital, they discovered it wasn't functional. They, of course, wanted to still take a look at the military hospital to see what they could find. There's also been videos and reports of, their visiting the Lekki toll gate, the LCC office, and a couple of other places. But I want you to speak quickly on the logistics and the forensics that are needed to truly investigate some of those incidents. Do you see that they have all of that in place? Can they truly carry out these investigations, asking for video footage, asking for forensic investigators to also step in? How do you think they may need assistance in that area?
Yes, they do need assistance with gathering materials. No one is expecting that the military authorities will cooperate easily. They will hide at every point in time. You have to get clearance on every single item you want to take away. So because the military is the culprit this time around, so one is expecting them not to fully cooperate. That is in the nature of the military. It's quite different from the Nigerian police force. Now, but the press can help because so many people were at the scene on that day. I was actually at the scene on that day, and I left at 6 p.m. just before the shooting. Now, what the press can do is also to help with their footages and submit it to this panel. This will go a long way to help in terms of gathering materials. There are also Nigerians who have materials and footages which they should be submitting to this panel. It will not be an easy task. The issue, the crucial point will always be on identifying those who actually shoot and those who gave the orders to shoot. I am sure the Lagos State government will be willing to help on who was contacted. You know, who was the officer contacted. It's that officer that will reveal who he actually spoke to, and that will lead you to who actually gave the orders, you know, that soldiers should move in, and who are the soldiers sent in. So it's it's incumbent on the press and the Lagos State government to provide whatever materials they have, you know, to assist this judicial panel.
All right, Piotr Jomi, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts with us.
It's my pleasure.
You're still watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to News on the Hour, and now for stories in other parts of Africa. A Kenyan court sentenced 2 men on Friday to 18 years in prison for helping gunmen from Islamist group Al-Shabaab storm Nairobi's Westgate shopping mall in a 2013 attack that killed 67 people. Mohammed Ahmed Abdi and Hussein Hassan Mustafa are the only people convicted in relation to the 4-day assault which showed the Somali militants could strike in one of the most secure areas of the Kenyan capital. They were sentenced to 18 years on each of the 2 charges brought under a National Terrorism Prevention Act to be served concurrently. Abdi was given an additional 15-year jail sentence for possession of materials promoting terrorism.
For the offense of conspiracy to commit a terrorist act in count number 2, each of the accused persons is sentenced to serve 18 years imprisonment. In count number 5 and 6 against the first accused person, he is sentenced to serve 15 years imprisonment. The 2 sentences, that is in count 5 and 6, will run concurrently, and therefore putting together 18 years plus 15, you get 33, you take away 7, you get what you get. That's the sentence that will serve.
We're now joined this morning from Kenya by Dr. David Masanga, the chairman, Punchline Africa TV. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much, my brother from Lagos, Nigeria, Lagos. Good morning, all of you and our viewers all over the world, wherever you are.
Absolutely. 7 years after, it seems justice has somehow finally come for victims of that attack at the Westgate Mall. Quickly speak to us about the judicial system and why did it take 7 years to come to this place?
You see, terrorism is one of the worst type of crimes to be committed. You must piece together the forensically put together everything from telephone conversations, credit card, all this, cars used, cars bought, people who stayed with these guys, who are those. So it took actually more than 7 years because the justice system here is very thorough. It doesn't want to allow anybody to be convicted for nothing. There are people that were even released. One of them walked free. So it took all that time. And I want to correct what you said. It is 26 years. They were sentenced. One was 33 minus 7. Another one will serve 18 years. So it is around there. If you remove 7, you come to that amount of years that they will serve in jail. So it took a long time because the detectives down here in Nairobi, in Kenya, had to piece up to get even their foreign backers. You know, terrorism is not on the home ground, it is outside ground.
Yes, fully understood.
You are aware what is going on in your own country, in the north of your country. There is a lot of sleeper cells that even give information. So we had to piece these pieces, put it together, then bring a title case. Even if you go for appeal, the appeal judge could even increase more, could even say this sentence was not worth it. You go for life. Because
Okay.
if you are...
All right. Hold on, Dr. Matanga, and of course, thanks for clarifying that. But also share with me, with the magnitude of that attack, it is also maybe a little hard to understand why only 2 men for now would take the fall for that. Are there still other culprits related to the case that are still being investigated?
First of all, to sentence one terrorist is good enough, because you would have got what you want. I'm a soldier by background, if you didn't know, so I'm a security operative. Then to sentence one person is good enough in terrorism, because he will tell you exactly what happened, how it was planned. On this case, you can see that Kenya has managed to actually, because of the cooperation of all agencies in Nairobi, they have managed to stall any further attacks that come from Somalia. We are faced with a very huge problem, that is a porous border that gives the terrorists time to enter. And also, their funders are within and without. Some of them who aid them to get these cars, to get this telephone. You can imagine a terrorist rang 226 times. And this information was recorded in our telephone Safaricom. He was ringing, planning how to go and kill people. So these are some of the things that we had to do, and I'm happy the Kenyan government did it.
All right, quickly also share your thoughts with us. Of course, the very dastardly act was carried out by the Al-Shabaab terrorist group. What are your thoughts on the government's war against terrorism in Kenya? Would you say the government is winning?
Yes, I wish Nigeria borrowed from us. Yes, time has come for us to share. Boko Haram is defeating you up in the north. Yes, I wish you came and shared information, intelligence, how you can handle terrorists. We live with them across. But the information here, we have been very, very, very careful with peace. All of us are involved in it. You want to see a man buying 200 SIM cards and you leave him to go. No, we shall report you. We shall arrest you. Why are you buying 200 loaves? If your house only eats 1 loaf, why do you buy 200 loaves? For terrorism to get out of Africa, we must start community policing. Community policing will tell you who is a terrorist, who is he, where has he come from, where was he. So Kenya has brought in a tough regime and tough laws. Every telephone conversation that you have, if it links to Al-Shabaab, we shall get you. So there is no way you can run away and kill people and then run away in the Sahel and disappear there, then come back and kill people again in Maiduguri, then you can go back. No. Here, we have been very, very straightforward. And we have no mercy. We give you, we leave you to go to court. And you see, we have also human part of it. Kenya has a human part of it. Some other countries would just kill. But they put them on trial for them to get a fair trial.
Dr. David Masanga, thank you so much for your thoughts. Always love speaking with you. Looking forward to another conversation.
By the way, before you go,
okay.
You know this ISIS is spreading even in Mozambique. We have the Al-Shabaab now has gone to Mozambique, started a base there. So we must, all African countries, unite and fight terrorism. Let's help Nigeria to fight terrorism. Let's help every African country to fight terrorism. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again. And outside Africa still, at least 7 people have been killed in a landslide sparked by heavy rains in El Salvador, and more than 30 more are suspected missing under a deluge of mud, the government said on Friday. The mudslide hit the village of Los Angelitos in the municipality of Nejapa, around 17 kilometers north of the capital, San Salvador, after heavy rains on the flanks of the San Salvador volcano. And now in business, with just days to go before the U.S. presidential election on November 3rd, the rest of the world is holding its breath as to the outcome. Early voting has been setting records across the United States, with more than 9 million people already casting their ballots in Texas, a stronghold for the Republicans and President Donald Trump. But polls suggest Democratic nominee Joe Biden is now level there. Across Europe, governments are waiting to see what effect the election will have on them.
I've got hopes that Joe Biden will win. I've got a feeling that Trump will just sneak in there. But obviously I think Biden will be the best for the UK economy to support us. I don't think Trump particularly cares about us all that much. But yeah, that's my hopes anyway, that Biden will win.
Yes, Trump has improved the US economy a bit, but I think his views on things are just so outdated, and Joe Biden's a lot more current and far more popular. So I think just for the welfare of the US and the rest of the world and the relationship with the UK, I think, yeah, Joe Biden is probably the person who should win.
Well, I hope it's Biden because Trump's awful for the whole world, for America, for Brits, for everybody, really. Women, black people, everybody.
And up next is our roundup on entertainment and sports news.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
The Nigerian Official Selection Committee for the Academy Awards IFF submissions has announced the reopening of its portals to allow new submissions. According to a press statement released by the NOSC, the decision to reopen its portals comes in the wake of the realization upon review that some of the initial submissions did not meet the Academy's eligibility rules. NOSC further revealed that the decision was made following the Academy's approval of Pidgin English as a foreign language. Reacting to the reopening of the NOSC portals, Chairperson Chineze Ayene Abonyi revealed that while it was a tough call, the decision had to be made. And now for some sports news. Wolverhampton Wanderers moved up to third in the English Premier League EPL after beating Crystal Palace 2-0 on Friday. It was all thanks to goals from on-loan teenage wingback Ryan Aït-Nouri and Daniel Podence. France under-21 international Aït-Nouri gave the host the lead in the 18th minute after latching onto a clearance and driving a bouncing shot into the far corner. It was his first goal in senior football on his Premier League debut. Also, Wolves midfielder Leander Dendoncker then hit the post with a powerful shot before Portuguese winger Pondens made it 2-0. And the president of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, Ahmad, has tested positive for COVID-19. A statement on the website of the Continental Football Governing Body on Friday said the president, after his arrival to Cairo on October 28th, presented mild flu symptoms and submitted to the COVID-19 protocol. Today, the test results are positive and the president immediately self-isolates for the next 14 days at his hotel. All those who have come in contact with Ahmad over the past 7 days, especially during his trip to Morocco for the Confederations Cup, have been informed and requested to take necessary measures. Also in sport, Portugal and Juventus forward Cristiano Ronaldo has recovered from coronavirus, tested negative after self-isolating. The 35-year-old tested positive on October 13 and missed out on Juventus' 2-0 Champions League defeat by Barcelona on Wednesday. During his absence, he missed 2 Serie A games, plus the Italian Champions League first 2 European matches. Ronaldo last featured against France in the Nations League on 11th of October. Prior to his positive test, Ronaldo has scored 3 goals for Juventus' first 2 league games. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making headlines. Do join us. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa.
To school and spends 5 years of their life studying law and then leaves it for something completely different and unrelated, painting. And then from there also becomes a photographer with a difference. Well, he did, Kelechi Amadiobi. He is my guest on Nurture 9 to 5 show today.
I've always been an artist, right from primary school, you know the usual best artist of the class, all those kind of things, drawing comic characters and all those. And this has always been my life. I've always been an image maker in one way or the other, just telling stories with visual art. And I mean, I grew up in Umuahia. My father was a high court judge. My mother was the headmistress of our primary school. And there was no gallery, there was no art school. So I didn't know anybody makes a living as, with art. I don't know if you get that kind of thing. So I decided that, okay, since in my house, there are only 2 professions that are recognized, law and medicine. I decided that I'm sure I'll be okay as a lawyer. So I went to study law in University of Nigeria. And that's when I realized that, whoa, wait a minute. There are people living that life. But before then, I was absolutely obsessed with the whole concept of being an artist. So as a secondary school kid, I had read the whole art history, the Renaissance, all the Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt. I had them as my idols, you understand? But they all seemed to be all these distant characters, in a fairy tale. Because, well, I had never met an artist. So when I got to University of Nigeria, I went to Enugu campus because I was studying law. I encountered, Aka group of artists. They had this group of artists in Enugu from Osoka and all these places called Aka Group. Amazing. Tayo Adenaike, Bona, Isukak NCM. These guys, they were exhibiting in Bona Gallery. I went to the exhibition. I was blown away. That was when I realized that, wow, I keep dreaming about being an artist, but I thought it was a pipe dream. But now I can see real human beings who are living all their life just creating, and that opened my eyes. But then I was studying law, and I immediately got into a conflict between the course I was studying and and my passion. So I needed to resolve that. At some point, I wanted to change course, but I changed my mind because by year 3, I had formed a popular design business in university called the Zulu, like Shaka Zulu. Well, I watched the movie Shaka Zulu and I was inspired. I said, look at this black guy. Just kidnap some white people during colonial time, turn them to his slaves. That was nice, And I took the name Shaka Zulu. Well, I'll just call it Zulu, D-E-E, then Zulu. Anybody that went to UNEC at that period would know me as the Zulu, So I started making posters. I started making portraits, That was when I developed the notion that all you needed to do was to stand out. That was when I learned the strength of building a brand. I realized that all I needed to do with my skills in order to survive was to solve problems, So I became a painter, But the truth is that photography came much later. So at the end of the day, I started practicing art in Lagos. That was how I came to Lagos. I came to Lagos because of law school. But by the time I came to Lagos, I realized that there's an energy about this town. No other city was like it. Too many people, there was this energy. Everybody was in a hurry. That kind of thing. And I loved it. But that wasn't the first time I came to Lagos. While I was in school, I came on holidays, to Lagos. And that was when I realized that these Lagosians are crazy, They'll pay for anything. It was amazing. That was when I realized I would never be a poor man, even if I wanted to do art. I will survive. The first time I came to Lagos, I also noticed that people were willing to pay even, quite a bit, for art. So by the time I got to law school, I had already decided I was going to be an artist. But I didn't want, to drop out of school. I wanted to make sure so I graduated from school, got my BL, and then went to law school and made sure I didn't flunk law school either. And I'm so happy I did that because at the end of the day, some of those things I learned, are becoming very useful, in my life as an artist. Being a lawyer sort of prepares you, gives you kind of knowledge, a feeling of authority, because they say ignorance of the law is no excuse, which means everybody should be a lawyer, actually. So the more you know about the law, the more confident you are about your environment. You know the rules of engagement. And to tell you the truth, some of the difficult rules are the rules of engagement when it comes to intellectual property. And being an artist and understanding the importance of intellectual property and the power of it put me in a bit of an advantage. While creating my work, I knew the value of what I was creating. I knew the power of it. Legally, at least, if you get what I mean. I said, I'm going to be an artist. So what do you do as an artist? Well, you draw. So I started to draw. I said, well, what am I going to draw? I didn't go to art school. I don't even know what this is all about. So I read all these books. And they said, well, if you're an artist, dig deep into yourself and express what it is you are interested in. I said, so what am I interested in? This place is full of chaos. So I started to draw the chaos of Lagos, So I started to paint Ojuelegba bus stop, Yaba bus stop, just downfall buses and people rushing, the hustle and bustle. And And then, you know, that was it. I just started making these kind of drawings based on what I see and what I felt. And it wasn't easy, you know. I was just there. I didn't know any collectors, didn't know any. So, you know, it was tough. A lot of people thought I was a bit nuts, you know, because, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. You don't know any collectors. You don't know whether people like what you're creating. And you're just spending your time creating. Creating for who? And that's the dilemma of the artist, you know. That is the vulnerability of being an artist. You know, you create from your innermost self, and then how do you sell it? You understand? So I went to the art shop with some of my drawings. I was going to buy more material. The owner of the shop said, "These things for sale?" I said, "Yes." He said, "How much?" I said, "Oh, you know, I hadn't actually thought about the price." So I just mentioned an amount I thought would be nice. He bought everything. And I got some cash in my pocket. I said, "Oh, wow, okay. I'm not going to die of hunger." You know, and I quickly bought some watercolor papers, bought some oil paint and some canvas, and went back and continued painting. And that was a real shot in the arm. That made me realize that, well, people would like these things I'm doing. I was very sure I would make it because, you know, this was something I loved doing. But you can always have that voice at the back of your mind telling you that, Kelechi, what if? What if? What if? You understand? Everybody has those fears. But I was stubborn, you know? But those few successes, you know, solidified my resolve, you know? And the question now is, how did I get into photography? Well, to cut a long story short, you know, I had an exhibition at Russian Cultural Center with my paintings in 1997. You know, it was huge. You know, I made big sales, and I got ushered into the League of Contemporary Artists in Lagos. You know, and from then on, I wasn't making paintings and looking for who to buy them. I couldn't meet up with demand. You know, I moved out of my aunt's place, moved into the house where I'm living now, you know, and, you know, had my own studio, converted the sitting room to a gallery, the big bedroom to a painting studio. And it became very beautiful. I mean, I started having so much fun creating what I wanted. I then moved into painting the human form, you know, nudes actually. And, you know, that became another obsession. But then I told you that there was a connection between my reading law and an understanding of intellectual property. And I realized that, you know, each work you make is imbued with some legal real estate, as you would say, you know, values legally, which is called copyright, the right to make copies of it. So by law, even though you have sold the physical painting, you know, to an individual, the copyright is still retained by you, which is amazing. So he has the physical work, but he does not have the right to make copies of it and exploit the, you know, economic gains of making copies. So I thought to myself, but how will you exercise your copyrights if you don't have a copy yourself? If you have sold a painting to a client, he has physical possession of it. That is his right, because you've sold the physical work to him. And he may decide to deny you access to it. It is within his right. So if you did not make a good copy of it, then how will you exercise your copyrights? So that was when I discovered that high-end, high-resolution photography was a must for each of my works. So I would find that I started shooting medium format, you know, then it was film, you know, and then so I have an archive of every single painting I've ever made. So that was how photography started coming into my world. So I started to learn how to make high-end copies of these works. At the same time, I started taking photographs as reference materials for my paintings, especially when I started studying the human form. And gradually, people started liking the photographs I had taken as references for my paintings.
And then I started getting invited to, I got invited to an exhibition in Mali. It was in 2000. Somebody was going to do, there's this biennale that happens in Mali where African photography, the best in African photography come to exhibit their work in Mali. And I got invited to represent Nigeria alongside about 11 Nigerian photographers. There was this German photographer, Nigerian born, Bode Akimbi. He came to Nigeria. He was curating that exhibition. And he called me. He said he liked my work. Somebody told him I had a collection. And I said, wow, I'm not even a photographer yet. And I'm getting invited among top creative photographers. And there were a lot of young photographers there too. People like T.Y. Bello, Uche James Hiroha. Paul Jekere was exhibiting, but his son, Amaise Jekere, was representing him. And that was when my eye got open to the world of photography. In those days, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, and I saw all these photographers from around the world, and I was looking at their work, fine art photography, creative work. And there and then, myself, Uche, T.Y. Bello, and Amaise Ojekere, we decided that we're going to form a group called Depth of Field to encourage ourselves to keep creating because, nobody was appreciating that kind of work. The only photography people wanted was to make portraits or cover events and, things like that. So I started looking at photography more seriously. I was like, And then people started calling me, advertising agencies, to say, we would like to commission you to shoot an ad campaign. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So gradually my photography started picking up. While I was still a painter, but I then had caught the photography bug, So shoot, go to the dark room, develop, print, it was like that. And gradually my career as a photographer started taking off. I started shooting ad campaigns, started shooting portraits. But then Depth of Field was on fire as a group. We had become quite famous on the international photography circuit, So curators will fly to Nigeria to curate our work. And then before we knew it, we were exhibiting all over the world. We went to France, we went to New York. I had an exhibition at South London Gallery. Had 2 exhibitions in Germany. They flew us to Brussels, So it was like wonderful. I don't know if you understand. Photography was taking me all over the world and we were getting published, curators. It's not easy to have creatives come together. It's a very difficult thing to do, but so people are fascinated with us and our, projects. Through my travels with Depth of Field, I came to realize that all these curators that were coming to look through our work and decide what we're going to exhibit seem to gravitate towards the more gritty photographs. They seem to look more to photographs that depicted hardship and their own perception of what Africa ought to be. A little bit of grit, cracked walls, anything that is gritty. Photograph of traffic, with molars and, those exotic African perceptions. And one day I woke up and I said, who are these people and why are they so interested in these photographs? And I started to question, I said, who are their own photographers and what are they shooting? Their most valued photographers. Okay, who are the most highly paid photographers in Europe and America? And what are they shooting? So names like Annie Leibovitz, Herb Ritz, Mapplethorpe, Mario Testino, McKnight, they started coming to me, you understand? I start to look at what they're shooting. They're all shooting for Vogue, Vanity Fair, Rolling Stones, these magazines. They're shooting editorials, I was like, And I look at those editorials and I'm like, they're shooting fantasies. not reality. They're shooting dreams. They're shooting alternate existence that could be. So when you take Beyonce, okay, and you bring a team of hairstylists, stylists, makeup, skin, another team of retouchers, with a creative team that actually tries to tell a story, and then you put her in a certain scenario and you shoot, that is not reality. It's a lie. It's a dream that is presented to the world of what could be or what should be. It appeals to people's ability to dream. And I saw that that was lacking in our place. I saw that. In those days, when the Nollywood artist is being put on the cover of a magazine, they just went to their album and picked one picture. Or they went to a roadside studio and just took a picture there and just put. I looked at it. I looked at the picture of Madonna. I looked at the picture of, I said, so I start to see a conspiracy inside my head. I said, they're paying big money to their photographers to shoot dreams and fantasies and portray them in the best light, while they give NGO and charity money to our photographers to show the worst of us. So I just decided that I was going to stop going for all those exhibitions. I was going to come back, settle in Nigeria, and only shoot the best of the best of this continent. So I decided that the purpose of my skill and the purpose of my photography was to liberate the black man. Because perception is reality. And our major problem is years and years and centuries, actually, of abuse, of misguided perception, foisted on us through the power of gunpowder. Then I started to shoot super entrepreneurs, I want to shoot, the big oil moguls, these people who have made money and who are showing that we are not just beggars in this continent. And I decided also to shoot landscapes. I decided to shoot architecture, I started to see that, oh my goodness, I started to shoot Lagos, like Lagos Island. And it starts to look like Manhattan. I remember the first time I traveled to New York, I was in the middle of, like Times Square, and I could swear I was looking at pure water sachet on the road, man. I was like, this place is just as dirty as CMS. Area boys everywhere, beggars. I said, what is going on? But when I Googled the place, I'm seeing the best photographs. I said, perception. But then the people that live in Manhattan, they believe in the place. When I call them, I say, but this place doesn't look so cool. They say, Kelechi, relax. You see that building down there? That's Bill Gates' office. If you go further down, you see that's Google office. Inside that place, they're making more money than the whole of Africa. I said, okay. Now I can feel the narrative from the people that give significance to this great place. But then it is true perception. And I say, being a photographer makes you a priest at the altar of first impressions. And if our people do keep showing pictures of charity and we keep sending out poverty porn to the rest of the world, they will never take us serious. There will be no evidence of genius that we are. And I have nothing against shooting that. It is also a different reality, but it is not the only reality. Because, I listened to Chimamanda talk about being confined to one story. No people are confined to one story. They are the ups and downs. So why do they only play up or downs? And you see well-educated Africans telling you there's something wrong with the black man. Ridiculous. Our perception of who we are has been skewed through imagery, negative imagery. And so that is what pushes me, and that is what motivates me, and that is what created this other Kelechi Amadiobi that is shooting all these people you are talking about. It's a story of triumph, a story of defiance, and a story of progress for the continent. But I never had a 9 to 5, you know. Well, I did go to a law firm during my youth corps and spent about 2 weeks before I said, okay, that's it, you know. I wouldn't call that having worked, but I really wanted to know what I was missing. And the truth is that art is an interesting thing. You're required to be a free bird. You cannot be caged. You need to be impetuous to discover new things. And, you know, the 9 to 5 becomes a cage, you know, for people like me. But we also take risks. I mean, what if nobody likes what you create? You know? So I believe it is in my nature. It is a path I have chosen. Never go back on that. My name is Kelechi Amadiobi. I'm a photographer. I like to call myself a storyteller. These days I'm making films. It's a dream, it's an obsession with liberating the mind of our brothers and sisters in Africa and beyond. It makes me happy, provided me with enough money to take care of my needs. It's not your regular 9 to 5, it's my life.
Nigeria sometimes is often misrepresented in the media. We get a lot of backlash when a small percentage of Nigerians commit crime or get into trouble. Here is an attempt to shine the light on some Nigerians in the diaspora, making the motherland proud. Akiwumi Additional, the 8th elected president of the African Development Bank. He was first elected to the position on May 28, 2015. He also secured a second term in the position. He is an economist and agricultural development expert with over 30 years' experience. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in agricultural economics from the University of Ile-Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria. He also won the prestigious Rockefeller Foundation Social Science Fellowship in 1988, which launched him into his international career. As the Minister of Agriculture, he turned the agricultural sector around within 4 years. He is a prolific writer who has authored over 70 scholarly publications on policy, agricultural, and African development issues. Paulina Ibokwe, the first and black Nigerian woman to become the chairman of Universal Studio Group. Ibokwe was born in Nigeria in the 1960s and lived with her family in the village, which was affected by bomber planes during the Nigerian Civil War, and moved to the United States at the age of 6. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Yale University and an MBA from Columbia University. Before her appointment, she was the head of the television arm of the company, a position no black woman has held before her. Ibokwe has also held the role of Executive Vice President, Drama Development, where she was involved in television shows such as Dexter, Masters of Sex, Nurse Jackie, State of the Union, The Underground, Soul Food, and more. Kelechi Madu, also known as Casey. He is a Nigerian lawyer recently named Minister of Justice in Alberta, Canada. He is also the first black man to hold this position. He relocated to Canada with his wife in 2005. Before then, he had graduated from the University of Lagos with a law degree and had been called to the Nigerian bar. Before his recent appointment, he was a member of the Legislative Assembly of the province representing the district of Edmonton Southwest after winning the 2019 Alberta general election. Kikelomo Lawal, newly appointed Executive Vice President and Chief Legal Officer of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. The graduate of Harvard Law School was just recently the Chief Legal Officer, Ombudsman, and Corporate Secretary at Interact Corporation and has over 20 years of progressive leadership experience, including legal expertise as both a trial and transactional lawyer. Lawal is also a strong advocate for inclusion, speaking regularly on the importance of inclusion across multiple dimensions, including gender, race, ethnicity, and life experience. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was appointed Minister of Finance for the Federal Republic of Nigeria in July 2011. She previously served as the Managing Director of the World Bank. She also organized several World Bank initiatives to assist low-income countries. Okonjo-Iweala was educated at Harvard University and has a PhD in Regional Economics and Development from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. She is a recipient of many awards, such as the Time Magazine's European Hero of the Year Award 2004, Euromoney Magazine 2005, Global Finance Minister of the Year, and more. In 2006, she was named by Forbes magazine as one of 100 most powerful women in the world. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is currently a candidate for the post of the Director General of the World Trade Organization. She has been endorsed by President Muhammadu Buhari. To these individuals and many more Nigerians breaking records, we say the motherland is proud of you.
Thank you for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. The Edo Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal on Friday commenced sitting in Benin City. The tribunal will be reviewing petitions filed by political parties challenging the declaration of Governor Godwin Obaseki as the winner of the September 19th governorship poll in the state. The political parties seeking to nullify Obaseki's victory include the Action Democratic Party, ADP, Action People's Party, APP, Action Alliance, AA, Allied People's Movement, APM, and the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The chairman of the three-man panel, Justice Abdulrazak Abdul Karim, asked for the cooperation of all parties, assuring them that the tribunal would perform its duties without prejudice. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the October 10th governorship election in Ondo State, Eyitayo Jegede, has filed a petition at the tribunal challenging the victory of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. Other defendants in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the All Progressive Congress, and the Deputy Governor-elect, Lucky Ayedatiwa. Among the grounds on which the election is being challenged include that it was marred by irregularities and pockets of violence and intimidation. He asked the tribunal to declare him the winner of the election. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Friday confirmed 170 new COVID-19 cases with 3 coronavirus-related deaths recorded in 10 states and the Federal Capital Territory in the last 24 hours. Lagos State reported 106 cases of the new virus, followed by the FCT with 25 cases. Oyo had 14 cases. Edo and Kaduna states both recorded 7 cases each, while Ogun had 4 cases. Other states are Bauchi and Benue with 2 cases each, Kano, Osun, and Rivers all with 1 case each. The Public Health Agency said that the new confirmed cases brings the nation's total number of COVID-19 infections to 62,691. It added that more than 620,758 samples have been tested by the agency, out of which 62,691 were positive in the country. 181 patients were successfully treated and have now been discharged from isolation centers across the country. And still on News on the Hour, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, says 205 critical security assets, corporate facilities, and private property were burnt or vandalized during the End SARS protest. During a virtual conference with senior police officers on Friday, the IGP said statistics collated between October 11, when the protest assumed a national dimension, and October 27th indicated that 14 states recorded major violence: Lagos, Edo, Delta, Oyo, Kano, Plateau State, Osun, Ondo, Ogun, Rivers, Abia, Imo, Ekiti, and the Federal Capital Territory were named. The police boss said 71 public warehouses and 248 privately owned stores were looted. He said there are 51 civilian fatalities, with 37 injured, and 22 policemen were murdered, with 26 others injured during the protest. Adamu said that 10 firearms, including 8 AK-47 rifles, carted away during attacks on police stations, and a locally made pistol had been recovered. And also, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu, has inaugurated a nine-man committee for the assessment of losses suffered by the Nigerian police force during the End SARS protests across the country. A statement issued on Friday by the force public relations officer, Frank Mba, said the IGP noted that the setting up of the assessment committee is informed by the need to properly document the losses suffered by the force for the purposes of strategic planning, reconstruction, and re-equipment, as well as for future reference. The committee, which has CP Abutu Yaro as chairman, was charged by the IGP to see the assignment as a call to service, which must be undertaken with purposefulness, empathy, dedication, and sacrifice. And the Lagos State Judicial Committee, set up by the Lagos State government to investigate the Lekki shooting on Friday, paid a visit to the military hospital at Ikoyi to inspect the morgue. The panel, led by Doris Okuwobi, a retired judge, disclosed the unscheduled visit to the morgue at the military hospital after Friday's sit-in. The inspection is to help the panel with evidence that could assist their investigation. Ebun Adegborua, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who was a member of the panel, said the visit was born out of intelligence reports the panel received. The panel, which met with resistance from the military officials, declared that they had the backing of the state governor, and President Muhammadu Buhari also gave them the authority to conduct the investigation. The military hospital is controlled by the 65 Battalion, a unit of the Nigerian Army alleged to have sent soldiers to the Lekki toll gate on the 20th of October. After several minutes of waiting at the gate of the military hospital, the military allowed the panel members, accompanied by journalists, into the premises. And still on News on the Hour, the Shelter Initiative for the African Woman says that it lost over 150 million naira to hoodlums who attacked its premises in Abuja searching for food palliatives. The privately owned initiative, which caters for women and youths in need, giving food aid to the poor and vulnerable, and revolving loans to women entrepreneurs, says the hoodlums carted away everything in sight within their premises, including doors, window protectors, overhead tanks, plumbing materials, and others. The site manager of the estate, Joseph Chukwu, urged the police to investigate those behind the attacks and tasked the state government to speedily come to their aid.
They came in the afternoon and we were able to have repelled them. But in the night, it simply couldn't, we couldn't just hold them off anymore. They came with everything that they could and raided the estate. The two houses that housed those food items were boggled and everything there looted. They vandalized the house, took away things that are not food items, took away every plumbing materials, every electrical materials in those houses, went to our main office and carted away goods that actually cannot be quantified as I speak with you now. We're asking the police to do a thorough investigation, but we actually need the government to come in and do something.
And still in the news, the Adamawa state government has relaxed the imposed 24-hour curfew in the state. The reviewed curfew is from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Government has relaxed the current curfew regime from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. beginning from Friday, 30th October 2020. We shall review this timing as situation warrants. Meanwhile, checkpoints will be mounted at all entry and exit points of the state. This, for the moment, is a measure taken to stop any attempt by the thieves to escape with the looted items.
And still in Adamawa State, the government has confirmed the arrest of over 200 suspected looters, as well as the return of items carted away by the suspects. Governor Amadu Fintiri confirmed this to newsmen on an inspection visit to government facilities within the state. Fintiri, however, says the state government will continue to monitor developing issues so as to restore law and order in the state.
The people have complied. We have seen it together with you. Substantially from what we can see, for the non-food items, more than 70% have been returned. Over 60 tractors have been recovered and returned. They're in the custody of the security agency. And we will continue to monitor till evening to see if they are still complying with the order. Even though reports reaching me, they are complying substantially.
Hoodlums have taken away 108 brand new tractors out of 110 that we have in our warehouse. They have also taken away substantial quantity of inputs, certified seed, quality fertilizer, herbicide, water pumps, and water fuel. So, and we have the cooperation of security agencies, particularly the police, in making recoveries. We have recovered substantial number of units of tractors. You can see them there as testified by the CP, and the recovery is ongoing.
Security agencies have so far dealt decisively with all acts of lawlessness. As I speak, we have 238 males and female suspects. Out of these, 184 were apprehended for breaking and looting government, private, and corporate warehouses in the state, while another 54 were arrested for violating the state government curfew. Investigations so far conducted led to the recovery of 35 tractors. They are here. 22 hand tractors, 28 hand tractor hoes, 22 injector sprayers, 1 carry-go tricycle, 15 bags of rice, 142 bags of fertilizer, 11 bags of guinea corn, 3 water pumps, 5 Indomie cartons, 19 pieces of excellent expectorant medicine. Consider foolishness.
You're still watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. The Kimpact Development Initiative, KDI, has expressed worry over the low representation of women in politics. The group, while launching the SAGE initiative in Abuja, an acronym for Supporting the Advancement of Gender Equality, says it aims to advocate for more women representation in Nigeria's political space. The executive director of the group, Bukola Idowu, while calling for the enactment of laws that will create a more conducive environment for women politicians to thrive, also urged political parties to give more slots to women to be able to vie for political positions.
We're also looking at the low representation. For instance, when you look at the Senate that have 109 members, only 8 of them are women. Then when you look at the House of Rep that have like about 360 members, only 13 of them are women. So what we are looking is that how do we begin to advocate for laws to create more spaces for women representation? We're going to do this in a